Hello and welcome back to Pray Tell Live. We're in St. Louis at the National Association of Pastoral Musicians 37th Convention, and I'm very happy to be able to interview a friend of mine, Msgr. Rick Hilgartner. You probably know that he is coming on as the new president and CEO of NPM beginning this September 1st, and I'm on the board of NPM myself, and I know I speak for the entire board and all of the some 6,000 members of NPM to say we are really glad that you are coming on, and we're excited about the future, Msgr. Hilgartner. Or is it Father, or is it Rick?
It's all of the above. My mother calls me Rick. She would not call me Monsignor, I don't think, but it's all of the above. And as I was introduced yesterday, it was Monsignor Richard Hilgartner, Father Rick. And that's the way my parish, where I'm serving now, also introduced me.
So diversity of titles, yes, and perhaps an openness to a diversity of musical and liturgical styles as well.
I would say so. I have eclectic roots in music. I told the association yesterday when I was introduced that I grew up in a parish that was really on the cutting edge of folk music in the 1970s and grew in its development with all the various trends in contemporary music. But I also became a choral singer myself and really fell in love with the classics. And I had the opportunity to sing in a chorus in Baltimore and really got to sing a lot of what I would call my bucket list choral favorites, and still do some singing occasionally. So I need in my own life as a priest and as a member of the church a little bit of everything. I chant and sacred polyphony and sacred choral music and down to the praise and worship genre and just a little bit of everything. And I'd like to think that I somehow model all of the diverse options that are presented and suggested.
Wonderful. Not only is that a great thing to say politically, but I know it comes from your heart. I know you well enough to know that you have experienced all of those and you are nourished by them as a priest and as a Catholic, as I think so many of us are. So what's it like to be the incoming new president of this big, diverse organization? Exciting, scary, daunting?
All of the above. My first 24 hours here at the convention have just been an overwhelming outpouring of support, and I have been really strengthened by that. One of the challenges that I know I face is that we're revisioning what the presidency of NPM looks like, in that I will also be serving as a full-time pastor in the midst of this, which I think is a helpful thing because it will keep me grounded in ultimately what the association is about. This is about supporting and encouraging sung worship and the use of music in the sacred liturgy in parishes in the dioceses of the United States. And so I think having that connection and living it firsthand day to day will be key, and I hope will be a good insight. The challenge will be finding the time for both positions.
So there will be some restructuring of the office, and you'll be putting together your team and working with the team that's in place?
Yes, the NPM office has a great staff, and especially during the past year with the transition, they have been doing more than their fair share of work. We've had especially Gordon Truitt and Peter Marr taking on additional work, and the board of directors itself taking on a lot more responsibility. But as we settle in, we'll be doing some restructuring of job descriptions and some positions to accommodate more of the day-to-day management that I won't be on site to do.
Rick, if I may go with that.
Certainly, Anthony.
For the moment. What other changes do you see coming to NPM apart from, the nitty-gritty organizational and structural? Any organization has to live and grow with the times. What do you see might be in the future?
Well, there are a couple of things on a practical level that have to happen. That NPM really has to be focused on the future structurally to be able to be strong and sustainable as an organization. Last year, many of us witnessed with great sadness the closing of the North American Forum on the Catechumenate, and I've said in a number of settings that really becomes a wake-up call to all these organizations within the church, that as the face of the church changes, as our structures change, as the economy changes, these organizations have a vital role, and perhaps an even more vital role to provide support. But the cash flow is a very different kind of of situation, and we have to look at how we can be viable, sustainable, and valuable for the church for years to come. So I think on a practical level, we need to be looking at how we're poised to be strong for the future. In terms of the work of NPM, I don't have any specific plan yet, but the organization had gone through some strategic planning and discerning about goals, and I would want to see us continue to be strong, to be really the organization dedicated to worship and music in Roman Catholic worship for the United States, for the Church in the United States. And that might mean having to be more open to culturally diverse expressions, more open to a wide range of liturgical and musical styles, for lack of a better term, and that the association doesn't simply promote one model, but really has its heart focused on all the ways in which Catholics in the United States worship.
Indeed. One thing that several of us have noticed here at this year's convention, the attendees, it seems to be a younger crowd with more youth than we've seen in recent years. So we're all hoping that that's a sign of hope for the future.
That's a great thing. This morning I met, walking back from morning mass this morning, a young woman who just finished college. She is working full-time in the food service industry. This is her first convention, and she's here because she's a cantor and a choir member at her parish, and she loves the music of the liturgy. And I think more people like her, who might be volunteers in their parish, but also young professional musicians coming through the ranks and coming into their own as directors of music ministry, are going to be vital for the future of the organization.
Yeah, wonderful. So NPM. I think I can say that Rick Hilgartner is really respected on all sides, by bishops and lay music ministers, by people with more classical tastes and progressives. And Rick, do you hope to be a bridge builder? I'm sure you do, but even more importantly, do you see NPM being a bridge builder in our sometimes divided church?
I hope to be. I hope NPM can be that. When people talk about liturgy, they get very passionate very quickly, and people ought to be passionate about it because it affects everyone's prayer. So everybody has their opinion and their tastes and their preferences, and that makes this a volatile area of ministry. Because everybody is so passionate about it. And that's where I hope NPM can be a place where everyone can come to the table. Those who are well-versed in chant, and those who take a very classical approach to things, and those who work in culturally diverse and musically diverse communities, those who work with young people, and those who work within kind of the classical structures and music schools and things like that, that NPM can really have room for everyone at the table in that conversation, because it's a big church.
Amen to that, and amen to NPM. I sense that we have great days ahead of us under your leadership, so I look forward to that, and I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say you have my and our prayers.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.